If the woman doesn't have these merits, dump her, or just make her, put her on the margins. The following are the merits, and I will elaborate on each one. Let me know when we hit 8 minutes. Number one, she's competent and hardworking. This is an order of importance. Number two, she's loving and optimistic. Number three, she has good health. Number four, she's considerate and submissive. Number five, she has beauty. First one, competent and hardworking. A female who is not very intelligent is a great expense. She's a liability. She is not good for the long term. After you reach orgasm, then you realize you have to talk to her at that point, which is a burden and a bore. And what's more, being that she has very little going on upstairs, she needs constant entertainment. She thinks that you should entertain her. Make me laugh. She thinks you're a jester. Or she has to constantly be, traveling and enjoying new restaurants because nothing comes from inside of her mind. Her joys all arise from external sources, external stimuli. This is a personality that's going to need a high amount of attention, a high amount of stimulation, and it's ultimately burdensome. So if the woman is not very bright, that's a problem. If she's not bright, she can't be competent. You see, competence is when you ask a woman to do something and she can do it effectively on her own without relying on you, which is to say she can represent you in your absence. She can get things done, help you build a business. She's a great support. If a woman is intelligent, that doesn't mean she's competent. There are intelligent women who are incompetent. They're intelligent, but you ask them to do something, they can't do it independently. They keep asking you for help. They ask your opinion. They need reassurance throughout the entire process. So competence is different. And not only are they competent, but they're also hardworking, which is to say that if you ask them to do something on your behalf, they're not going to do the minimum. Like, for example, if you have a busy work day, you wake up and say, hey, love, would you mind making the bed? She's not going to just do it to do it and do it really fast and do a shabby job at it, such that when you look at it, it's almost as though it's like, you shouldn't have even done that, and clearly you don't care about me. So they're competent, meaning they can get things done on their own without your help, and they're hardworking. They're willing to put in the effort. This is their nature. That's the number one trait that the woman has to have. She doesn't have that, you have to marginalize her. We've all dealt with a multitude or I guess I shouldn't say we've all dealt with. I've dealt with a multitude of beautiful bimbos, not good for anything. Even some of them are intelligent, but they're incompetent, which is just quite a trick. I think that's a new thing. You have these wealthy girls, they grow up middle class, upper class, and they go to great schools. They're well educated and intelligent. They have capacity, but they're incompetent. They have a short attention span, and being unable to focus, they can't get anything done, especially when it's for you. If it's for themselves, maybe, but if it's for you, not a chance, because they don't care enough about the task. So that's number one, competence and competent and hardworking. And it's really important because if a woman wants you to be a provider, a financial source, one who can support her, the question is, okay, you're taking out of the pot. What do you ever put into the pot? Do you help me earn better so that I can support you? A woman who is incompetent and not hardworking, also known as lazy, will not be good for that. So number one, if she doesn't have competence and good work ethic, marginalize her, put her to the side, or dump her. Number two, she needs to be loving and optimistic. Loving because when the woman loves you, she's going to work harder for you. When the woman loves you, all of her skills, talents, her personality, she puts at your disposal. So her love is the greatest power. If a woman is not loving, then you're never going to get the quality. It's the difference between a home-cooked meal that's cooked with love, care, concern, hygiene standards, and then like a meal cooked at a restaurant for a random stranger where the chef doesn't really care if they wash their hands. They don't care if, this pepper is, nearly spoiled. Yeah, let's get it done. The love factor is an important ingredient in that woman's makeup and personality. Her being loving makes her do things at high quality. And most importantly, if she's loving, She's going to forgive more things. She's going to be more understanding of you. When she looks at you, she's going to assume the best. She's going to assume well of you. She'll be more favorable. She'll be more understanding. So loving, that doesn't mean you're lovable. That means that she's a loving person. This is her nature. So if she becomes attracted and attached to you, she will love on you very hard. And the other piece is optimistic. This is really important. Sometimes this wanes with age when you deal with these older women or women who have been traumatized, have been victim of various things. Optimism, critically important, because if she doesn't have optimism, she doesn't ultimately believe that a long-term relationship with you is going to work. So when there's any hint of trouble, any disagreement, then she's going to be flighty. You'll notice a lot of women today are flighty. Now, part of it is the way they've grown up with technology. They've never really understood the concept of dealing with just one man, talking to just one man, because their DM on Instagram has always been flooded since middle school. They grew up on the technology. They grew up with infinite access to men and males having infinite access to them. So as a result, they can always just swipe away their problems. They can always just swipe in some attention. So her being optimistic, she has to not have very many scars, not have significant baggage, and truly believe that with you, she can have that fantasy. It can go the whole way till to her dying day. Without that optimism, you're going to experience her replying to your text messages late. Without that optimism, you do something wrong or you show up late or you misspeak. She's going to assume you're deceitful, you're lying, you're cheating. Without that optimism, life is just harder and less pleasant with this woman. Number 3, health. And perhaps I might have to move health up. It's generally assumed, but the woman should be healthy. So she should be at peak health for whatever her age is, such that you might want to procreate. You might want to have a woman who's going to live as long as you do. You don't want her expiring early. You got to live the next 20 years by yourself. You're 70, you got to live to 90 alone. So health is a critical thing that the woman should have. And you'll be able to observe that in her dietary decisions. And this doesn't mean she's one of those dim-witted Los Angeles girls that's trying out every new diet, but rather what this means is that she's not behaving and consuming the foods of a poor person, of a low-class person. Soda. If you listen to me, I will not date a female. I won't even deal with a female who drinks soda. I don't think I've ever done that. Who drinks soda? What is that, sugar water? A woman who drinks soda, who consumes Red Bulls, a woman who smokes cigarettes. I don't think I've ever dated a woman who smokes cigarettes. I don't even think I've ever had any dealings with a woman who smokes cigarettes. These kind of traits, when you observe those behaviors, 1, she doesn't have good health. And number 2,
8 minutes.
Thank you. And number 2, she's going to pass on this bad health to all around her, whether it's you, potential children, and things of the like. So health is critically important. Number 4, she needs to be considerate and submissive. When we say considerate, you see, this is a chiefly female trait. Sometimes guys, we can be inconsiderate and thoughtless. A woman should always consider you before herself. That is the nature of a good woman. When she becomes hungry, her question is, are you hungry? You see, when she's cold, her question is, do you want me to adjust the thermostat to your liking? That is a truly feminine woman when she's always thinking about you. It's like a good mother. And submissive, which is to say, if ever you have to dominate or take lead, or it's time for her to defer to you, she's willing to do that. And it doesn't take a lot of energy. You see, some people, they're so unruly that if they need to defer or submit to a man, it's like lifting a boulder for them. It takes so much energy because their personality is to be disagreeable and unruly due to poor rearing and poor parenting. And the last piece is beauty. It is critical for the woman to have beauty, not such that she needs to be a trophy wife, but that you're proud to look at her. And when you look at her, she makes you smile. When you look at her, she makes you happy to see her face. That makes it so much easier to have a long-term relationship with the woman, in as much as when you look upon her, it brings lightness to you. And I guess I should put she has beauty and lightness. That's important. And by lightness, I mean humor and fun. And when I observe relationships that are positive and enduring, it's because you can always laugh with the woman. You can always make a joke of things. You look at her face, it makes you smile. You're happy to see her. You're happy to lay a hand on her. And so that's critical. It's in last place. It's necessary. These are all the necessary things, but it's in last place, but you cannot skip that. And I think most of you don't skip that. The only reason I have to mention it on the list is because you put it number 1, when really it's number 5, last place. Write your comments, questions below, your thoughts, experiences. Until next time.